Yeah, Homer led the league in tackles with 85. The deep ball for Darius Prince, and Philadelphia's on the board first.
On the draw, this is Bryson Allen. And Allen weaving his way all the way down to the 22. 10-yard line, 5. Mayfield, Dancy, all around. Throw it as far as he can throw it. Jump ball coming. Crazy stuff. Not this time.
And you want to be a wide receiver. You're going to have to take a little bit of a hit like that as Brown got him in that shoulder, but watch. Those are teeth.
Do we have a dentist on staff here?
Shady Sports, what's up? I'm back here with a very special guest, owner and CEO for the Corpus Christi Titans, Mr. Kevin Cecil. Sir, how we doing tonight?
Good, man. Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Really excited for this opportunity to be able to speak with you. My first question for you is, I see you're doing a lot of things in the Corpus Christi community. Corpus Christi has been dubbed before when it comes to arena football.
Yeah.
How are you trying to reestablish the relationship with the community?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for having me on. It's truly an honor. It really is. Going back to Corpus, man. Yeah, we're doing a lot in Corpus. It's one of those where I knew what I was getting into when I stepped foot in the Corpus market, right? So I have family that live in Corpus. I was there when the Fury won a championship back in 2014 at the American Bank Center. I thought from there, with that title that they won, it would carry on over and the legacy would go further. Well, obviously, some stuff happened in the teams, when things happen, teams, they debunk, right? They go out of commission for whatever reason that may be, whether that's financial issues, fan base, whatever. I don't know. That's not my story to say. But going back into bringing the team to Corpus, I knew the struggles because of the issues that happened in the past. I knew there's a lot of stuff that I had to go over. And honestly, just sticking to it and doing what we're doing. I mean, that's where we're at now. It's truly a blessing to do what we're doing.
That's amazing. And one thing I noticed about you guys specifically, you have a lot of local talent. You signed Aaron Dillsworth, which I think is big signing in the AIF. You got Leo Harris, Kyle Cool, local guys to Corpus Christi. How important was that for you while building this team?
Man, that was big. That was really big for us. Having Aaron Dillsworth jump on, having Darius Dorsey, having Kyle Cool get signed on to camp. It's one of those things that keeping the local involved is a big thing, especially guys that started and built the foundation there before, it went annexed in a sense. So, bringing in Coach Bradley Chavez was big for us too, because he's got a big name down there as a high school football coach, so his resume speaks for himself, especially being the defensive coordinator at one point in time for the Fury back in the day. So just keeping everything together is huge for us. It's really big.
And, one player I mentioned, Leo Harris. I see Leo going on Facebook Live all the time. Leo is very involved in the community. He has a news interview coming up in a couple days. He understands how the system of Corpus Christi really works.
Yeah.
Have you been in constant communication with him, and what have those conversations been like?
Yeah, Leo's great. Leo's real great. I actually reached out to Leo in the very beginning when I wanted to bring a team to Corpus. Leo's been nothing but the utmost helpful, respectful guy. He sees our vision, so being able to bring him on to be on with the team speaks a lot. It really does. I mean, he's real about the community. He understands what it takes to be at this level. That interview that they're doing, if I'm not mistaken, happened about an hour ago with K3 News with Coach Chavez. So that interview was over Leo Harris, being brought up in a foster system to paving the way for himself to play football, to getting to the arena football. So with us being part of CASA of Coastal Bend down there, which is for foster kids, it's a huge benefit for us, right? Because it just shows you that with all the odds that are out there, you can easily overcome it and you can do what you want to do.
Without a doubt. I think it's great that you have someone who's a hometown hero per se. And you yourself, you're a police officer in the community. You kind of understand the intergoings of a community. Being a police officer, you deal with people day to day. I heard you talking about this yesterday. How important is your relationship with your community members?
Man, it's really important, just because, my front office staff is primarily made up of law enforcement officers or medical. We see the day in and day out of operations that goes behind the scenes. You're gonna have people who are like anti-police. You're gonna have the ones that actually are for the police. So just building that positive relationship and telling people like, hey, we're here for the community. We're just not here to be here. Because if we were here just to be here, it's kind of putting a millionaire down and saying, all right, cool, I'm gonna bring a team, and if that team works, it works. If it doesn't, I'm gonna move on to the next city. And we already know the eyesore that comes with that. You know what I mean?
Without a doubt. And, one thing I noticed in your podcast you did yesterday, there was a clip where you mentioned how you want everyone to feel, different and feel special in their own way, where you don't know necessarily what someone's going through and you can't necessarily relate, but you can listen to them and you can hear them. I took that clip and I sent it to some of my friends down in Corpus Christi. And I said, that's the type of owner you guys have. And I think that said a lot about your character. When you said that, how do you kind of implement that on a daily basis?
That all comes down to being able to listen to people, right? Like with our front office staff, we're gonna have that dysfunctional side of things, right? But it's kind of like I said, you got to bring me a solution to fix the problem. You can't bring me a problem to fix a problem. It doesn't work. So when people go through certain things and being a law enforcement officers, you just have to sit there and listen, right? You have to sit there and listen, and you have to be able to take in everything that they tell you, and then you ask them, okay, I heard everything, I understand everything. I can't agree with you on what you're going through because I don't know that. I don't physically live that. However, what can I do to help, or how can I help you to get through this? How can we do this together? We're a team. Let's make this work, right? And just those simple things, by you showing appreciation, of you showing that you're listening and you're showing that you have heart, it makes a world of difference.
That's super important that you said that. I have a lot of respect for you. The fact that you recognize that a lot of police officers, especially in the Northeast where I'm from, that's a struggle. So, the fact that you know how to interact with your community, that's huge. When I think of Corpus Christi, I think of the second fastest growing city in Texas. I looked at that on the Forbes 2022. But if Corpus Christi is popping, a lot of people want to move there to start businesses. It's kind of the Dubai of Texas. When you look at that, how do you try to embrace the younger generation being a younger owner?
Man, it takes, when you do something and you go into that mindset of wanting to bring business in, you have to understand you're going to have challenges, you're going to have obstacles, right? You're going to get shut. The doors are going to shut on you every step of the way until you understand and overcome that. So for any youthful person that wants to come in as a young entrepreneur, it's all about the grind. If you constantly grind and you don't stop and you push for what you want, at the end of the day, you're going to get what you want. As soon as you give that small little doubt that you can't do it, like I said in the podcast, right? I was 6 months in on doing this business, and I was at the point where I wanted to hang it up because I didn't know what I was doing, right? But once I figured out what I was doing wrong by asking the necessary questions, reaching out to my business partners and my mentors, that right there meant the world to me for them to tell me, okay, well, you're obviously lacking in this area. This is how you fix it, and I'll go fix it, right? And then from there, I took that, I learned from it. And my biggest thing is I tell everybody, I take these L's, you take these losses, and you turn them into lessons. And from there, you learn from it, and you move on, and you better excel in what you want.
A big part of that is your relationship that you created with the arena as a first-year owner. Being able to have that type of communication with the arena, strong relationships are what make teams go. The American Bake Center has been crucial. League meetings were held in Corpus Christi. How much did that mean to you?
Man, that meant a lot. I knew when everybody said the new management group that's taken over the American Bake Center was going to be hard to work with, I didn't see that as a factor until I started having to deal with them on a personal basis, right? And understanding the obstacles to overcome. So when we were asked to be a host city for the league meeting, that just perked up a lot of ears, opened up eyes. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? Like, what is this team doing? How is the arena involved to help this, right? And the arena didn't know because it was coming from the city. So the arena asked us, and we told them, like, well, we told you guys what we were doing. And not in a bad way of like, you didn't take it upon yourself to further investigate or further ask questions on what we were doing. But surprise, we're here. This is one of those things where I said from the beginning, I'm not going to stop until I get what I want, right? I'm not going to stop until my team is accomplished in what we're doing, because this isn't only me doing it. I brought my guys that were with the San Antonio Gunslingers over in this organization with me. They're my business partners and my mentors, and with their leadership and their role and their educational, manner of mindset of helping me educate me, molding me to the person that I am today. to be able to become successful because of them. And then building a strong front office around that is what makes us even more of a bigger aspect and successful in the Corpus area.
I'm sure you can learn a lot from the other organizations in the state of Texas, San Antonio, Frisco, but it's also a level of competition. What do you think separates Corpus Christi from the other franchises in Texas?
Oh man, I knew from a get-go Corpus, has the market to do it, right? I knew that the teams in the past left an eyesore. I knew the challenges that I was getting into. Corpus is great, man. It's a beautiful city. It's constantly growing. A lot of people are like, oh, there's not much to do there. There's a lot to do there. You just have to know what you want to do, and you have to be able to spread your wings and venture off to do it, right? So I knew San Antonio market was tough because we lived it with the Gunslingers. Any market you go into, whether they've had a team before or not, or they're real supportive of it or not, is going to be tough, right? It's just showing you that they want to make sure that if you bring something to the table, that product that you bring to the table is going to stick and solidify for years to come. So like I said, we're building a foundation, but we're here to leave a legacy. We're not here just to leave a legacy and then move on somewhere else. We're here to stay. And I think with that, and a lot of people seeing the podcast from yesterday, seeing that the real me, right? Like I'm relaxed, I'm about it. I'm not here to sugarcoat and hide anything. I think just from that alone, that persona alone, shows people exactly how we are as an entity and an organization and what we're doing as a whole.
Well, even in the podcast, when you mentioned teamwork with your wife and how crucial she is and all of this, that really opened my eyes to be like, man, this guy can maintain that in the household. He can definitely maintain that with his franchise. In terms of housing with players and food and amenities, where are you at with all that?
So we're locking in. We have a place down there that's called, first of all, shout out to my wife. She's a champ, man. She's been in the rut from the very beginning. She gave me the opportunity to do this. So I give her kudos for sticking behind me and always showing support. The housing situation for the players, we're looking at what's called campus quarters. It's kind of like a dorm style living. It fits up to 4 players. They each get their own room, their own bathroom, but they share like a living kitchen area. That's what we're looking at right now. For our practice facility, we're about to lock in Flower Bluff Athletics, which is huge for us because they actually have an indoor practice facility, like a dome, right? So it keeps these guys out of the elements. So food, I mean, we're locking in sponsors left and right for food. We have BJ's Brew House, we have Taco Palenque, we're working on 3 more others on the back end. So there's a lot that's snowballing, that's coming into play a lot faster than we expected at this point. But we're excited. That's what keeps us going. It's that drive to know that, man, everything now, what we've worked on for like 2 years is now starting to fall into place one by one, if not, stockpiling into place, I should say. So it's good. It's good.
The business promotion is what separates you guys from other teams who have been around for 5, 6, 7 years. The military night, sponsor a player. Like, these are ideas that should have been came up with 5, 6 years ago, but you guys are doing it year one, which is amazing. When you think about the military and their involvement, I heard you speak about playing a military game. What is that going to look like?
So, going into the military, we have a big support system from that. I mean, my dad was in the military for 22 years, right? Retired Master Sergeant. So, we want to stay original, right? We want to stay original, and that's our key factors. And if we stay original and other teams piggyback off of us, we're not going to get mad because we're the first ones to do it. So military night, the way this one works is you sponsor a player for $200. Your honoree's last name or name gets put on that jersey. The player wears that jersey throughout the whole entire game as we're playing. At halftime, we're going to do a 30 to 90 seconds Jumbotron to honor every honoree's picture as it gets filtered through the Jumbotron to show, like, they serve in the military or the police force and the medical field. It's not just for military. It's to recognize everybody as a whole, of first responders, the community as a whole, and what they do for us in the United States. And then after that, we're going to have about 15 to 20 uniform personnel actually get onto the field while that's being ran. And then we're going to spotlight each and every one of them to show our appreciation to them. While we're doing that, we're also going to ask for people in attendance to stand up that were in the military or first responder and show our appreciation to them as well. My thing, what I never understood, I never understood this. It was always military. They were like the bread and butter, and they were like the golden child, right? But then you have the first responder aspect of police force, sheriffs, constables, medical personnel. They're right there too. Even though they don't do what the United States Air Force does, or United States Army or Marine or Navy, we're just as crucial and important in the city or states that we're in to patrol, right? So I'm very different, and I want to show equal opportunity love to each and one of those entities to show our appreciation to them. And then when I didn't
Yeah,
mean to interrupt, sorry.
no,
It's and then when that's done, what we're gonna do is we're gonna wash each one of those uniforms, and then we're gonna get those players to sign that uniform, and that uniform is gonna go over to the honorees to keep.
that's incredible. I mean, the fact that you have that going and you already have that year one, like I said, I know you mentioned something about playing a game on a military base eventually. What do you envision that looking like?
So if we could come up with a game to play, it's kind of hard to do it on the naval station. We even talked about just throwing up some ideas of even doing it like a flag football game on like the USS Lexington, right? Just to put something there, just to see if we can do it. But there's a lot of work that comes into it because not a lot of people are allowed to go on base. The base is real strict on who they allow, right? So just doing a military first responder appreciation night at the arena was big for us. It's crucial, right? I mean, we have whiteout against Oklahoma Tribe. It's a semi-pro preseason game that we're doing that was filtered in by the league, and then we play the Raiders away. We come home and play Amarillo, and that's our blue out night. And then we go on the road again, I believe, or we play back at home, which is going to be, we have a cosplay night, and then we have that military first responder night, and then we have a blackout night. So we're doing things different, right? We want to stay original with what we do, but we know in the arena game, these theme nights are what brings the crowd and the attraction to the arena. That's the excitement because it's not only for the players, but it's for the kids too. The kids get excited when they get to come just to stuff like this.
I'm super excited to watch that and see it all unfold. I think it's going to be great for the community. In terms of attendance, the American Bank Center, I believe it fits 9,563 last time I checked in terms of fans. What are your individual goals for attendance week one home, and what is it looking like so far?
So our overall attendance is what we want. Obviously, the way the city works, they like to wait last minute to do things. It's just I don't know why the city's like that, but they're like that, right? So our overall attendance, we would love to sell out the bottom bowl, and I think the bottom bowl holds upwards to 5,000. If we surpass that 5,000, then the upper deck will open up. So when you go into the arena, you're automatically going to know the 200 section is going to be completely curtained off. The arena does not allow that until the bottom half sells out. If the bottom half sells out, then they'll open up the upper deck. So our main focus from game one all the way to game 5 at home is to sell out realistically every game if possible. If we can't do that, we would like to see at least anywhere between, 2,000 to about 3,500 people in attendance. I mean, if the Hooks can do it almost every game that they have, and they're selling out 5,000, 6,000 people in attendance, and they play 4 or 5 days a week, I don't see why we couldn't do it. Because there's a couple of times where we'll actually play the same time the Hooks are playing. So I'm sure we can grab some of that fan base and bring that attendance over to the arena. So that's our biggest push, right? We want to be top tier. We want to be next to them, even though we know they're affiliated with the Astros. We're not affiliated with anybody, right? So we're coming in as like the underdog, and we're bringing something back that's put a black eye on the city in the past. So we're here to make it better. And I mean, from having a congressional recognition from a congressman down there to having the owners meeting to now we're going to get a proclamation from the Texas Veteran Purple Heart Association on a national database, like a national, level. That's huge for us because the only other team that had that is the Corpus Christi Hooks. You know what I mean? So having that presented to us at the military first responder night is huge, very, very big for us.
That's for sure huge. And another huge thing, the AIF. The AIF, I feel like, has come out of nowhere in the arena indoor scene, adding all these new teams, a lot of stable ownership groups. You have Jay Kobe up in Harrisburg. But one person in specifically I wanted to ask you about is your counterpart, Robert Reyna, with Amarillo. Mm-hmm. He's a young owner. How much have you learned from him, and how do you guys kind of share ideas with each other?
Robert's good. I mean, when the league asked us about Robert, we looked at everything and we knew that he's a young owner that's going to have to pick up the playing field fast, right? So you have his head coach, Coach Kranz, great guy, funny. I mean, all the coaching staff and owners in this group that we have, they're great guys. They're humble, they're excited, they're competitive, and that's what I like. Robert has been around with my marketing rep, Melina, in Corpus when there's some pop-up events I go through, and I believe by him being involved with that, he's learning from it, or at least I hope he is. because that's the only way you're going to get better if you've never stepped foot in the arena world before. You know what I mean?
Ownership's a really, really difficult game. You have to kind of play within the lines per se. What are some hard lessons you've learned over the last 6 months?
You know, you can't rely on everything happening right away. You know, being a young owner, you know, I picked up the arena game when I was with the Gunslingers in about, you know, short 3 months. And then when I had to go over, when I got the opportunity to become a CEO for the team, you know, that took a lot of learning. I mean, you have to mold yourself. You're a student of the game, right? You're constantly learning. You can't expect something to be handed to you. This isn't something that's going to be handed to you. This is something you have to work for. You got to fight for. If you have that open mindset and you're able to do that, I think that's where it makes you different from the rest because you know what you want, you know what it's going to take. It's the dedication, the long hours that you have to put into it, and then me being a cop and then juggling family time. I'm literally juggling everything as we speak. You know what I mean? Like even when that first ball gets kicked off, they say like the weight of your shoulders are going to be lifted off. I hope so, but I know in reality, you know, you have to be optimistic, right? You still have a lot more stressors throughout the season, and those won't really go away until that first season's done because then you can learn from any mistakes that you made along the way and how to make those better to progress forward.
I'm really interested to know, kind of take me through a day in the life of what you got going. Say, give me like an average Wednesday.
Ooh, man, it depends. So most Wednesdays I'm working on the streets, I'm patrolling. And then if I'm not patrolling or if I have time in between, I'm either talking to my family. If I'm not talking to my family, it's related to football. I mean, there's been a numerous times where I've been on duty and I had to jump in on a league meeting, right, with these other coaches and ownership and the chief marketing officer Jesse, and you know they see me in uniform and they already understand like, all right, cool, he's muted, he's here. If he's got anything to say, he'll chime in. So I mean, it's busy. Every day for me is busy. Like there's no time to relax. Like my wife on the podcast yesterday said that, you know, she has to make me stop because if I don't, I'm just gonna go. Like once I'm done with this podcast with you, I'm literally gonna load up the car with 40 helmets and shoulder pads and take it to Corpus tomorrow to put it in our storage. You know what I mean? So I'm constantly on the go, constantly busy.
I mean, that's insane. Like, I don't know how you do it, and that's one of the things we spoke about is taking that mental break, stepping away. I guess my question to you is, how do you know when the right time is to take that break?
You know, that's where constant communication comes into play with your front office staff, right? With the other owner. You always have to communicate. If you don't communicate and you don't let these guys know that you need to take a break, you know, they're not going to know, right? So if you tell these guys, hey, I'm going to take a little break for a little bit, you know, I got some stuff coming up. I need to focus on this. Are you guys good? If you guys do need me, I can be reached by text, but obviously expect a delayed response. If you don't need me, then go to the other owner, Jody, and he'll take care of things if he needs to, right? And just with that alone, we have a great working relationship all around that everybody understands that, and they all understand like, cool, you know, these guys aren't here just to make us work 24/7. We can also take breaks if needed, and it's just constant communication, right? You stay in the communication aspect with me, and you let me know like, hey, I got some stuff coming up. Can I take a break? Yeah, go ahead. I got you. I'll take care of you. You know, that's just the way things work.
I can tell teamwork is extremely important to you. How much of your police experience kind of played a role in that?
Man, if I have to say that it played a ton of role in it. I mean, not only just from me being a police officer in the city of New Braunfels, Texas, but my buddy who's our team president, Hector Garcia, who works for Bexar County Sheriff's Office. Then you have Jody Alvey, who's another Bexar County Sheriff's Office here in San Antonio. You know, so just that leadership role as a whole, on top of our director of operations, who's working in the medical field, Jason Torres, and then, you know, our GM, Jonathan. I didn't even get to mention him on the podcast yesterday because I was just all over the place, so I felt bad, you know. But with that kind of level of work, I think we all just know how to work together as a team and be fluent. I mean, if there's no teamwork, you can't make the dream work, right? Like you have to work as a team to be unison. I tell everybody, there's no I in team. This isn't about me, right? This is my team. If it was all about me, I wouldn't need my team. I would have the money to fund all this about myself. I wouldn't have to ask for sponsors. I wouldn't have to ask for any kind of community help. But that's not the case, right? This is a team effort, and everybody that helps out, that sponsors, you know, we're greatly appreciative of it because they believe in us. You know, they believe in us and they want us to be here.
It's been amazing having you on the podcast. I really appreciate your time. And one thing I respect about you is you're authentic and you're real. And there's not a lot of people like that in today's world. So my final question for you is looking toward the 2024 season. What's one of your biggest fears per se, and what's one of your biggest hopes?
So biggest fears. I mean, that's real big. I mean, that's real hard to kind of answer on because I don't know. I guess the biggest thing is to make sure that we are successful and we don't have an issue where we have to fold like some teams did, like the National Arena League, like halfway through the season because of finances or whatever the case may be, right? So coming into the AIF and being the first team vetted in on a verbal commitment was huge because the AIF, they weren't going to kick off in 2024. They were actually waiting for 2025. But I told them, I was like, if we're doing this now because I kept telling the city in 2024. The biggest aspiration and dream would be huge for us to bring a championship back home, and we kind of have a feeling who will end up playing in the championship if it plays out in the way we're thinking. If it does play out in the way we're thinking it'll be either Harrisburg or Columbus Lions that will play in the championship. And we're hoping to bring that championship game at home in Corpus and win that trophy. That's our biggest aspirations, right? But we have to be optimistic and we have to take every day as a learning curve, right? We always have to go into every week 0-0. You know what I mean? We can't just say, hey, we're up 1-0 or 2-0 or 3-0. We have to make sure that where our mindset is where it needs to be successful, to have that operate or that avenue and that aspiration of being able to win a championship.
Definitely. Again, really appreciate your time. I really look forward to watching the games on YouTube and hopefully making it down for one. But let's go, Coach Chris.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on. If you ever make it down, you let me know and I'll take care of you. I got you.
Really appreciate that.
Yeah, man.